Hello, everyone. Welcome again to our PD Extravaganza in this summer of 2023. We are back today with Melissa Sarracino to present Unscripted Part 2, Spontaneous Language in the Classroom. Thank you all so much for attending. If you missed Part 1, you can view the recording on our YouTube channel. It is already there. And this, of course, will also be there as well if you want to rewatch it. If you have any questions during the presentation, I'm sure there will be plenty of times to engage and share those questions. You can also add them in the chats. And of course, stick around to make sure you fill out the feedback form at the end, give Melissa some feedback, and also get an entry into our PD giveaway. So without further ado, Melissa, take it away for part 2.
Welcome, everyone. This is Unscripted Part 2, Spontaneous Language in the Classroom. In yesterday's session, we reviewed ways to motivate our students to use spontaneous speech in the classroom. And today, I'm hoping you're going to be able to walk away with some activities and strategies that you can use in the classroom to start getting your students to use unrehearsed speech. For those of you that missed yesterday's session, it is on YouTube. Feel free to watch it. If you were at yesterday's session, I'm sorry, this is a bio repeat, but thank you again for joining us. I'm the mom of 2 super active boys who are 9 and 11. I live in New Jersey. So when the weather is warm like it is today, I love to go biking. And when it gets cold, because it does get cold in New Jersey, I love to ski. Super passionate about the language and culture. And I love to get my students using the language. And I'm always trying to find ways to get them excited about using the target language. So I have a question for everyone, and this is how we're going to begin our session. I created a Jamboard, and I'd love to hear how you would describe spontaneous language and what that looks like in the world language classroom. So I am going to share the Jamboard in chat, and I was hoping that we can all write a response, and we'll go over them before I dive into the session today. So let me just go into the Jamboard and I'll share it in just a second. Okay, let me go back and chat. All right, here we go. All right, so the Jamboard link is on chat. And again, the question is, how would you describe spontaneous speech? What does that look like in the world language classroom? For those of you that are new to Jamboard, on the left-hand side, there's a sticky note icon. It's the 4th one down on the left, and you can just begin writing your answer there. And when you're done, you save it, and it'll just post onto the Jamboard. So I'll give everybody about 2 to 3 minutes. We have a few answers coming in. Love it. We have some more coming in. Okay, so I'm just going to review some of the answers that we wrote. So as we speak naturally without thinking too much, communication among people that has not been rehearsed, students speaking unselfconsciously without overthinking their responses, confidence to speak on a familiar topic without any prep, communication initiated by students. Spontaneous speech is a goal in the world language classroom. My students usually need more scaffolding and support, as do mine. When students say something in Espanol without even thinking about it, even if it's in Spanglish, for example, wait, I don't have a lápiz, right? And we love that, right? Just making sure that they're trying their best. So just to add on to what you guys were saying, spontaneous speech is unscripted speech in which teachers, we don't know exactly what the student is going to say, and or vice versa. The speaker only has something to say as a result of having heard and understood what has been said to them. And that's the goal as a teacher, right? Making sure that they're able to think on their own feet. So when they leave our classroom, they're able to have these conversations with native speakers. So what do we need to provide our students to encourage more spontaneous speech? We need to provide essential vocab and phrases needed for every task that we want them to complete so that they feel comfortable using the language. The more vocabulary that they have via chat mat or a word wall, they're able to communicate more. We have to make sure we prioritize fluency and communication over grammatical accuracy and communicating the importance of that. I think creating a positive classroom environment, which encourages risk-taking and oral interaction, is super important. And of course, reward their bravery. In yesterday's session, I talked about the Euro system that I use, where I provide students that reward when they're speaking in the target language. And at the end of the year, we have an auction where they purchase items with the euros that they've earned. So making sure that we reward them for all the risk-taking that they're taking in our class. And also encouraging students to use circumlocution strategies to compensate for vocabulary that they don't know. It's so very important. So whenever we do improv in class, I always tell my students, if you don't know the word, try to figure out another way how to say it. Because I know sometimes when they're in front of the class and they're in conversation with each other, they look at me like in distress, like, how do you say it? I'm like, you got to do it on your own. You got to figure it out. What's another way you can communicate that without saying that word that you don't know? So giving them those circumlocution strategies so that they can work their way around it. So again, yesterday we talked about ways to motivate our students. Today, I'm going to be showing you different activities that I find successful in my classroom. And I'm hoping that you can also start implementing them in your classroom, and hopefully you'll have success with them as well. So I have 6 different activities that I'm going to be discussing today. During some of this activities, I am going to be asking for volunteers. So hopefully there's someone in the crowd that's brave enough, just like our students are every day in our classrooms, to help me with the activities. So hopefully somebody will raise their hand and help out. So the first activity that we're going to talk about is Draw It. For this session's purpose, all my activities are labeled in English, but in class, I label them in Spanish for the students. So let's talk about Draw It. So I usually, when I introduce vocabulary, usually I think on day 3 or 4, I love to do this activity. I place students in pairs. And they rotate from A to B various times. So student A will have their back to the projector, okay, and student B will face the projector. I will project an image that relates to the vocabulary that I'm teaching for the unit, and student B will explain the drawing in the target language while student A draws it. And I give the students about like 2 to 3 minutes per photo. So you guys see the image on the left, right? That was an image that I provided to my students. We were on the restaurant unit, and they were learning the word for change and the word for bill and the word for bills. So they had to express the drawing to their partner. So again, one student has their back to the projector and the other student is facing the projector and giving them details about the photo so that they could draw it on the whiteboard. So we're gonna hear 2 of my students communicating, and it does get a little loud in the classroom, so you're gonna hear other students, but hopefully you can hear a little bit of the language being spoken. And I challenge you during the video to write in chat, write some of the vocab words that you hear during the exchange. The drawing exchange, well, the exchange. Okay, so again, during the video, if you can write in chat some of the words that you hear that student B is explaining to student A.
¿Qué es no papel?
Los dólares, pero no son.
Ah, sí, 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 sí. Dos.
Sí. Sí, es bien. Nuevo video, cheque. Vale. Y hay 2 euros de papel aquí. De papel. Sí.
Wait.
Y todos los luces son en una cuenta.
Cheque. Wait, ¿en una cuenta qué?
Sí, una cuenta es como eso.
Oh,
Sí.
un cuenta largo.
Sí, es bien.
Sí.
Okay. So I love during the video, he used a circumlocution strategy where he didn't know the word for bill. So he was like, dinero de papel. So I encourage that in my classroom when they don't know a word. And I think that's super important. So let's go through some of the words that you guys heard during the video. Let's see. So we have sí, papel, euros, aquí, cuenta, cheque, right? Cuenta largo, I know they crack me up. And so what I try to do, so everybody's doing it at the same time. So it does get loud in the classroom, but they're pretty close to each other. And I do circulate the room and I reward them for the vocab that they're using. I think that's really important to make them feel make them feel like they're doing a great job. So I do try to circulate the room and tell them that they're doing a great job when they're speaking. And yes, somebody's saying it's great to see that there's negotiation of meaning. And I tell them, like, ask each other questions if there's something that you didn't understand, because they don't always understand what their partners are saying. Okay, we try to get back to, why can't I get back? Let me get out of this video. Okay. All right. So
Melissa, real quick, I think Gisela has a good question in the chat. She says, is this spontaneous? You said they knew the vocabulary. Can you elaborate?
Okay, so it is spontaneous. So they receive the vocab like on the, I guess this is probably like day 3 or day 4 of already knowing the vocabulary, but they've never seen the image before. So it's an image with like, it has like 3 different vocab words on there, right? Well, there's also a plate on there. So they have to try to explain to their partner for the first time, like how to draw it. So, and their partner doesn't know what their partner is going to say. So it's all new communication. It's all new conversation. So it is spontaneous. It's unrehearsed. We didn't practice this image ever before. Okay. This is Spanish 2, 8th grade. In my district, students begin taking Spanish in kindergarten. So we're going to watch the second. Okay, so we're going to see another video. This is during the celebration unit. You can see the image on the left side. All right. So again, I paired the students together. The whole class is doing the activity at the same time. There's no wasted time. And I pair them A to B. Again, there's one student with their back to the projector, one student facing the projector. And again, they're describing the photo while their partner draws the image that they think they hear. Oh, again, during chat, in the chat, if you can write down some words that you hear the students saying during their descriptions.
Con un gorro de fiesta. Gorra de fiesta.
So I think at this point, the student that was drawing didn't know what gorro was and couldn't figure it out. So when I tell my students, use visuals, use gestures if they're not able to understand. That's another strategy, an important strategy to communicate your thoughts, to communicate your ideas. So I believe she was saying, pointing to her head, and that's how she figured it out.
Y en el centro es un hombre con un gorro de fiesta y tienes manos en sus ojos porque es una sorpresa. ¿Sí? Una mujer tiene un regalo y una mujer tiene sus manos en Una niña es manos. No, es las manos de la niña en la derecha. No es sus manos.
So again, negotiation of meaning. Let's go to chat. Let's see some of the words that you heard. Let me get to the top of the end. All right. Niñas, en el centro, gorro de fiesta. Tienes manos. En el centro es un hombre con gorro. Fiesta, sorpresa, ojos, una mujer. Tiene un regalo, una mujer a la derecha, manos. Bien. There's lots of different las manos de la niña. So they're and like Jason, I believe, said there's great circumlocution here. So again, it's a fun activity. The students like asked to play this every chapter that we go over. They do enjoy this activity. Again, so this is Draw It, and we're actually going to give it a try today. All right, so we're going to look for some brave volunteers. Okay. So it's our turn now, right? So for this activity, I would need 2 volunteers to grab a sheet of paper and a pencil and to turn their back to the camera. Is there anybody interested in drawing? So Joanna is asking if Jason can draw. Oh, it'll be in English. Noreen, if you're willing to volunteer, this activity during our session today would be in English. Oh, no paper. Does anybody have paper that would be interested in volunteering?
I can draw. This is Noreen.
Awesome, Rachel. I'm not sure if your camera's on, but if you could put your camera on, that would be awesome. So Rachel will draw.
Noreen, I can draw too.
Oh, Noreen, that's great. So Noreen and Rachel, thank you so much for volunteering to draw. So I'm going to ask you guys, just like I asked my students, if you, when you're ready with your paper and pencil, if you can put your back to the screen so that you don't see the image that I'm going to present. That would be great.
Melissa, I don't mind speaking. I can do it.
Oh,
Okay.
great.
Yeah.
So
Got my paper.
Perfect. So Grant, you'll explain the photo to
I will try my best.
Okay. Rachel and Noreen, are you guys good to go?
Ready? Yep.
All right.
Pressure's
So
on.
I'm going to place the photo, no peeking. Here we go, Grant.
Oh boy. Okay, so it's like a beach scene. There are 2 trees. One is on the left, one is on the right. And then there's a hammock that is connected between the 2. The little bed, what do you call it? The fabric of the hammock is like a banana right in the middle. And then there's water in the background. There's sand in front of the water, which is where the trees are. And there's also right in the middle right beneath the hammock, there is what looks like a drink. It's like a red. It's got a little bit of a straw coming out of it. And then there are a couple clouds in the sky and maybe an island way off into the distance. So 2 trees, one left, one right. They're kind of curved inward if you really want to get detailed. There's a little grass at their base. They're palm trees. I should have said that. And then, yeah, like I said, there's a hammock right in the middle. It kind of looks like a giant banana laying sideways with a drink right beneath it. So we'll see how they do.
All
I
right.
haven't asked any questions though.
Do you guys have any questions for Grant? Because that's really great to tell your students too. Like, ask them questions, if you're in doubt.
No
Are there
question.
any colors? Are there any colors?
Oh, colors. So the trees are brown. They have green leaves at the tip. I want to say banana, but the banana hammock right in the middle is like an orange / yellow color. The
Banana hammock.
it looks like a banana. It's a hammock, but it looks like a banana. And then I mean the sand is sand color. The sky is like a light white going into blue as it goes upwards into the sky. The ocean is a bit of a darker blue, deeper than aquamarine, not quite navy blue. And then there are strings attached to the hammock which are white.
Is there any sun? What's the weather?
There is no sun. I mean, it might be sunny, but the sun is not visible here. I apologize.
Oh, did you say strings or drinks?
Well, so there are strings which attach the hammock to both trees. Then there is a little drink in a glass right beneath the hammock.
Thank you. Got it.
That's right on the right, towards the middle, towards the right tree.
It wouldn't be a beach scene without a drink.
Correct.
Right.
Yes.
All right. So Noreen and Rachel, when you're ready, show us your image. Oh, wow.
Beautiful.
That's gorgeous. Oh, Rachel, can you lift it up a little higher?
Is that good?
Wow.
Let's go.
That's impressive.
It was a very good description.
Wow.
It was really,
great
really
job.
detailed.
I'm impressed. That's great.
Way to go.
Great job.
Good job, team.
Yeah, great job. So this is a great activity to do when you're first introducing vocabulary, and I'll tell you, my 8th graders really enjoy it. Okay, all right. So we're gonna go to activity 2 now. So I love to play card games. There was a Latin teacher that worked in my school. He's no longer with us, but he used to play card games all the time. And I was like, wow, how can I incorporate card games into the classroom? So it got me thinking, and I've started playing some for many years now. But so card games are a great way to get your students to engage in natural conversation when they're with each other. Again, you have to create an atmosphere where they know that they have to stay in the target language all the time. I have a Euro system, so I always have students put their Euros on their table. If they catch another student speaking in English, they're allowed to steal their Euros. So when we play card games, their Euros are on their table, just in case someone in their group is speaking in English, they're monitoring each other. So they can practice vocab while also participating in spontaneous talk with their peers. You know, they don't know what their partner is going to say, or they don't know what's going to happen next. So they don't know how they're going to be engaging in conversation. So card game is such a fun way to get your students to talk in the target language. So I play Go Fish often in class. I don't know if you can see the sheet there. I call it Vete de Pesca. That's what my students call it in class. I like to use the Spanish deck from Spain, so to bring a little bit of culture in the classroom. And the way that I do it is that each number represents a vocabulary word. So I announce the way that we fill out that sheet before we play the card game. Hold on, let me see if I have no, I don't have a larger version of it. Every card number is associated with a vocab word. So they draw the word on the left side in that smaller box. After they have a turn in Go Fish, they have to create a sentence with the word that they said. And that's why the long rectangular box is there. So every time they say a vocab word, I tell them, you know what, write a sentence with the vocab word that you just said. And so when they ask for a card for Go Fish, they don't ask for the number like you do in real Go Fish. They ask for the vocab word. And I can do this with any of the units that we're working on, because I just provide the blank sheet and then the vocab changes each time that we play. So how do I encourage them to use the language when we're playing? Before any new card game, I have students get together with their small groups. They're in groups of 4 and brainstorm phrases and expressions that will be useful during the game. So, you know, so they provide each other with essential phrases and vocab that they can use while playing the game to keep the conversation going. So we have that as a class discussion before anytime we play a card game. Then as all the groups are playing the card game, I have a running Google Doc in front of the classroom, which is what you see on the left side. And as I hear students saying words while they're playing, like as I hear this spontaneous speech, I write the word in the Google Doc and I mention who said it. They love to see their name on the board. And if their name is not on the board, you hear them speaking even more Spanish because they want their name on the running Google Doc. And the running Google Doc is great because it rewards them for their bravery, for speaking in the target language. but it also provides other students words that they can use in conversation when they're playing a card game. So you can see some examples of words that they've used. Pobrecita, which means, oh, poor little girl. We use that often in class. Yo soy el peor, I'm the worst. Yo gano mucho, I win a lot. I don't want to wait, no quiero esperar. Dame tus cartas, give me your cards. These are words, these are phrases that my students were using during one of the games this year. So the title of that running Google Doc is Who is Speaking in Spanish? And again, it encourages my students to use the language more because they also want to see their name on that running Google Doc. So they're always playing, but they're looking to see if I heard them, because they do get rewarded for speaking in Spanish. I do go around and I pass out euros. Sometimes I'm at the desktop writing all these phrases, and then I give the euros after I'm done with the Google Doc. I don't know if there's Grant, or I'm not sure if there's any questions.
Yeah, there were two questions. How long did it take to create each vocabulary list, and what is the average word number that you use, from Gisela and from Mirna?
So the vocabulary list that I use for every unit is part of our curriculum. And that was created a few years ago. I'm not really sure how long it took to create. What is your average word number? Oh, I'm sorry, what was the other question?
It was, what is the average word number you include?
Oh, Mirna, can you, I'm sorry, can you,
yeah, do you have like a top, is it 8 words that they have to include it in their game, or is 10, 12, or you include
for the card game?
In the card game, yeah. Since you give each card a vocabulary word, is that correct?
No, not every vocabulary word. So our vocabulary lists are pretty lengthy that we give out for the unit. But when I'm playing this game, it's only 10 vocabulary words, because in the Spanish deck, there's no 8 or 9. So I think there's only 10 numbers. I believe it's 10 because there's no 8 or 9. So when we're playing fish, we practice around 10 vocab words. Okay. All right. So that's activity 2. Again, card games are awesome. There's so many you can play, but I do love Go Fish. All right. Again, I love to be outside, and I love to take my students outside, and they do enjoy it as well. So when the weather is on the warmer side, I like to play games outside with my students. We have a childhood unit that works really well with bringing students outside, because there's a lot of games that you can play with just chalk. So my students know that when they go outside, they have to stay in the target language. Again, I have that Euro system. They bring their Euros outside with them. And we have like little pebbles around the building. So if it is windy, we put like a pebble on top of the Euros so they don't blow away. But just using that reward system even outside, because I tell them we're going outside, but we're still in Spanish class, because that's when it's harder, right? That's when it's harder to control, is when you're not running the discussion, right? They're with their groups. So it's really helpful when other students are monitoring each other. So, because I'm skipping from group to group as you're playing, but if they're monitoring each other and they're stealing each other's Euros, I have one less thing to worry about. So I like to play hopscotch during the childhood unit. We call it rayuela in Spanish. And again, before playing any game, it's essential for students to review phrases and expressions that they can use in conversation with their peers. So before we go outside, I do have them brainstorm in their larger groups. What are some phrases that we can use when we go outside to play hopscotch? And, I'll write them on the board, or I'll put them on a Google Doc, and we'll discuss them, so that they have those phrases, that vocabulary to play this game. So I'm going to show you a video of how my students play hopscotch, and you can hear some of the Spanish. Again, during chat, if you can write down some words that you hear in conversation while they're playing hopscotch, that would be really helpful. Okay.
por día o en 5. Vale.
Okay, oops, sorry about that. So let's see if anybody heard. I know it was like a quick video. I know one of the students said vale, which it means, oh, we can renew it. 7. Perdí en 5, número 1, porque, vale. Some of these words like vale, it's one of my phrases of the week. I'm a big believer in phrases of the week. So I start every week with a phrase of the week, and they're in the back of my classroom, and students access them and use them all the time in class. So those are really helpful as well. And I think Grant heard one of my students say vale, porque. But again, making sure that students are having fun and making learning fun makes students more comfortable using the language. All right, so that's hopscotch. All right, we're gonna go with number 4 now. What's the problema? So here I present my whole class with a prompt that relates to the unit that we're studying. They're given time to practice with a partner or group, and students are encouraged to use their phrase of the week in their conversation. I'm always like, look at the phrase of the week wall. What can you use there before we begin the practicing? When presenting in front of the class, they do not perform with their original partners. That's very important. So whenever I do skits like this, like improv, this is kind of like an improv situation, I give them time to practice with a partner. But when we present in front of the class, they can't present with the same partner they practice with, because then that's not spontaneous speech. They're kind of remembering what they said, a few minutes ago. So I'll choose one student from one group and another student from another group. So when they're up there, they really don't know what their partner is going to say next, right? That's true spontaneous speech. Okay, they don't know what's going to happen in the conversation. So when I give the prompts, I do give the prompts they're written in English on the board. This was an exact slide that I had from my slideshow this year. So it's written in English, but when I explain it in class, I always explain it in Spanish. I'll explain it to you guys in English, but I think it's important for a lot of students like to see it in English, but then I say it in Spanish. I don't know, so that they're kind of understanding or learning some new words as I'm saying the prompt. So the prompt is, it's a few minutes before midnight and you and your friends are getting ready for the new year. And one of you notice that the grapes are missing. Oh no. So in Spain, we eat the 12 grapes to celebrate the new year. So we were taught, I guess I taught this right before New Year's Eve or maybe after. And our phrase of the week that week was to wait, espera. So I always tell them, you got to use that phrase of the week in your improv. And this is how sometimes I do these improv skits when I present the phrase of the week. So you're going to hear 2 of my students who did not practice together do the improv, and you're going to hear the word espera in their conversation as well.
¿Dónde están las uvas?
Yo comí las uvas.
¿Por qué?
Es muy bien.
¿Tú tienes uvas, otras uvas?
Sí, yo tengo 13 uvas.
Oh, ¿dónde estás?
En mi mano.
Gracias. Espera, nosotros no podemos comemos ahora porque necesito comer la nueva año.
Okay, so again, these 2 students did not practice. This is like true improv. They both saw the prompt. They practiced with a partner. They were told that they have to use espera. And I like the idea of students practicing together before they're in front of the class, because at least they're a little prepared, and they've heard, they're like, my partner used this phrase or this word, and maybe I can use it when I go up. So they feel a little more comfortable, and they feel a little more comfortable about taking that risk of going in front of the class and having this conversation. Okay, this is another phrase of the week. Sometimes instead of bringing 2 people in front of the class, I do it in groups of 4 or larger groups. So this is the prompt that I gave my students. And I believe in this activity, I had all my groups go. So you're at your 14th birthday party with your friends. You open a special gift from your parents in front of your guests, and they're excited to see what you get. But here they did not practice beforehand. I just told the groups, here's the prompt, here's the phrase of the week, which is KY, how cool, and you gotta go, you gotta perform. So here's a larger group performing.
Yeah, feliz cumpleaños.
Gracias, padres.
Yo tengo un regalo para ti.
Oh, sí.
Sí.
Oh, gracias. Oh, un nuevo con libro. Gracias.
Qué guay.
¿Cuántos años tiene, Jin?
Yo tengo 14.
Sí, muy bien.
Yo tengo 14 años.
It's funny, the one student would look back at me to see if he was done. I usually do anywhere from 30 seconds to a minute, never longer than that. So it's a quick improv, and I always do this with the phrase of the week. This is a few months into the year, so they're more comfortable with it. There's a lot more speech. And again, they are taking a risk, right? Speaking in front of their classmates, but at this point, I feel like they're more comfortable because we've already had some practice, and it's like a routine that we have. All right. So we're actually going to give it a try. Grant is going to actually place us into Zoom breakout rooms. I'm going to give you guys a prompt, and you're going to practice in the Zoom room. And then I'm going to ask for 2 brave volunteers to have a conversation. And again, I'll time it. It'll only be like 30 seconds. So it's your best friend's birthday. Oh, I'm sorry, your best friend's birthday is tomorrow, and you have no idea what to buy then. And you call your friend in a panic for help. Now, during the conversation, I'd love for you to use the expression, don't worry. And again, this can be done in English. But if you're 2 language teachers of the same language, you can do it in that language as well. So again, your best friend, it's your best friend's birthday tomorrow. You have no idea what to buy them. You call your friend in a panic for help. And somewhere in the conversation, you or your partner need to use the expression, don't worry. Are you calling the birthday friend or a mutual friend? You're calling a mutual friend or just a friend. Yeah. So Grant, are you able to put them in breakout rooms?
Ready? Yeah, we are ready. 1, 2, 3. Rooms are open. You should be prompted to
Volunteer for the friend that is.
Okay, so you're the friend calling?
No, I'm the friend that received the call.
Okay, all right, thank you so much, and that's Johanna. Yeah, thank you, Johanna. And Martha, would you be okay to be the person that calls?
Yes, of course.
Okay, great. So if you guys can unmute, and I'll give you ladies about 30 seconds to 45 seconds to have a conversation. Thank you so much for volunteering.
Are we supposed to do this in English or Spanish?
In which I'm not sure what language Martha teaches.
I teach Spanish, but I don't know if everyone here is a Spanish teacher.
So let's stick to English.
Okay.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
Bring, 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 bring.
Hola, Marta, ¿cómo estás?
Oh, muy bien, Johanna. Mira.
Hello, Marta, how are you doing?
Oh, I'm great, but I'm in a bit of a panic.
Why?
You know,
Why?
Well, tomorrow is Lucia's birthday and I don't have anything for her. We just got back from vacation. I should have dealt with it beforehand. What are you bringing?
Well, don't worry. You know, you're so good at making arts and crafts. And I know you have plenty of beads and feathers and baskets. So I know that you're going to come up with something splendid to give to her. You know how she will love whatever you do.
Oh,
That's nothing like homemade present.
Oh, well, thanks for the vote of confidence. I'm just worried that I'll have to go rummage around, but I also have to get in the grocery shopping and unpack and do the laundry and.
But I mean, I can't wait. I can't wait. We're going to have so much fun at the birthday party. Just go and start doing that craft. And tomorrow we're going to have so much fun. You have tomorrow to do laundry and to go to the supermarket. Don't worry about it.
Okay. I feel so much better.
Oh, go finish.
I feel so much better, Johanna. I'm so glad that I called you. I'll see you tomorrow at the party.
Yes, see you tomorrow.
All right. Ciao, ciao.
Way to go, ladies. Way to go. It's funny. Like, usually my students, they look at me before like the 45 seconds is over. They're like, are we done yet? I'm like, no, you got to keep going. You guys ladies just kept on going, which is great. That's what I hope for when I'm with my students.
I had to hold back because I love to talk, but the irony of it is I'm not a crafty person at all. So that
makes it even better. That's awesome. Lucia's going to love the gift. So yeah, for providing prompts for your students for improv, and giving them like a phrase of the week to use. I'm not sure, did we use don't worry? I'm not sure if we did, and that's okay. Sometimes my students, when they're doing improv, they forget to use the expression, but they're still communicating, and that's what's important.
I believe she said it twice.
Oh, perfect. Awesome. Even better. Okay. So we have 2 more activities that I'm going to talk about that hopefully you can start incorporating in your class. So one of my all-time favorite activities to do in class is to have my students make a live call in class. We call friends, family members, and even businesses in Spain, which they love to do. So this is a prompt that I've given my students, and we've actually done. I tell them it's your first day in Madrid, and you and your friend must choose a restaurant to eat at this evening. So you have to go to TripAdvisor and find a restaurant that you both want to visit. And as you navigate the site, make sure to engage in conversation with your partner. So they're going through TripAdvisor, they're choosing a restaurant that they plan to eat at. And then I tell them that we're going to call the restaurant. So on TripAdvisor, the numbers are accessible. I do it via Skype. I usually just have one student come to the front of the room and I dial the number, and then they have to have a conversation with the person that answers the call from the restaurant. So I always tell my students when we call a business, whether it's a restaurant or a store, I always say, apologize for your Spanish. Like first say, lo siento, no hablo mucho español. So they usually, just so that the person answering the phone is a little more sympathetic. So I always say, apologize for your Spanish. So they usually say, lo siento por mi español. And then I let them know you only speak un poquito de español, you only speak a little bit, and tell them you have a few questions too. And I usually, these are some of the questions that I tell them they should ask the restaurant, like what time do you open? What time do you close? What is your address? And then, come up with another question. Students love to do this. I do this, I do like one call during the restaurant unit. They get a big kick out of it. And everybody in the class is listening, but that one student up front is actually, the one delivering the questions. So this is a fun activity to do during the restaurant unit. And we're going to end with one more, and I call it this one or that one. I do activities like this when we're practicing demonstratives, when we're practicing like este aquel, which is like this or that one, this one or that one. So I show students 3 images, and they have to guess which one is the correct answer to the questions. Students have a discussion in pairs, and then I choose 2 students from class to debate in front of the class about which one is the correct answer. Again, I don't try to choose the same 2 students that were in the same group. I try to choose students from different groups. Again, this is a great one to practice demonstratives. So I have 3 images, and I tell them, the image on the left, we're going to pretend is close to us. The image in the middle is a little farther from us, and the image all the way on the right is farthest. So they practice este en aquel, the demonstratives. So we're going to end with this activity. And again, we're going to end with 2 more brave volunteers. Let me show you the question and the images. Just a second. So let's go right here. Okay. So I tell my students, one of these photos is my wedding photo. Again, when you're practicing like demonstratives, like I say, the one on the left is close as este, the one in the middle is este, and that one on the far right is aquel. But since we're speaking in English for today's presentation, you can just say this one or that one is your wedding photo. And they have to debate. They have to look at the image and try to figure out who Miss Sarracino is. Where is Miss Sarracino and her husband in this photo? So are there any volunteers that would willing to have a conversation to figure out who Miss Sarracino is and have like a little debate. And
I volunteer.
okay, and who is that? I can't.
Gisela.
Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Can anybody work with Gisela? Let's see. Any volunteers? It'll be our last one. We're almost done. Grant, would you be able to talk to Gisela and have a conversation and try to guess which one is my wedding photo?
Yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right, I'm going to give you guys 30 seconds. You guys are going to try to guess which one it is.
Okay, I am going to go with the one in the middle. There are some things I recognize about that place. I think I visited one time. So because I recognize the place and I remember where she is working and living, I'm thinking that's where it was.
Wait a second.
It's the one in the middle.
Wait a second. Gisela, did you go to Melissa's wedding?
No, I did not.
Are you sure?
Yes, I'm sure.
Well, I don't think it's the one on the left because that looks way too stock photo-y to me. That's
Yeah.
just kind of my take. I don't know. And I don't know if does it ever get that nice in New Jersey on the right, Melissa? Maybe you could.
All the way to the right, you mean the one? Yeah.
It absolutely does. We go to the
It could get like that in New Jersey.
Well, it doesn't. It only looks
that.
like that in Minnesota about once every 4 years
Yeah.
or so.
It could get like that in New Jersey.
Oh, okay.
Right.
So let's stick with the middle one. What do you say, Gisela?
I think it's the middle one. Yeah.
Okay. We're final answer, Regis.
So, it's so funny. My students always guess the middle one too, but it is the stock photo. It is the one on the left. Yes, my husband and I were featured in a wedding magazine years ago. So that is like for a stock photo. So, and that throws the kids off as well. So when you do an activity like this, it's great to ask the students why. So when you're up there, I always say, ¿por qué? ¿Por qué? ¿Por qué tú piensas? And you guys did a really good job with that. I just put like another example of I've done this activity. And so like, what college did I attend? And they have to try to guess. So they have a lot of fun. They love to get to know, I love to get to know my students, but they also love to know a little bit about our private life too. So I always try to give them a little bit of sneak peek into Miss Sarracino's life. So that's a lot of fun to do with the kids. All right. So we're coming almost to an end, and I'd love to know what strategy, or not strategy, or what activity you plan to use to encourage spontaneous output in your classroom after today's session. Was there one activity that really stood out for you that you think you'll want to use when the school year begins this year? So I do have a Padlet. I'm going to share the Padlet with you guys. I'd love to hear which one resonated with you the most and you think your students would enjoy. I'm so slow with this. Hold on. Let's see. Here we go. Here's the Padlet. Again, which activity do you see yourself using once the school year begins? If you need help with names, you can go to the slideshow where I can help you, or you can kind of just use circumlocution and figure out another way to say it. Draw is a fun one. You can use it with any unit. Kids really enjoy it. And I love that it's like a whole class participate. Everyone's participating at the same time. They're practicing their interpersonal skills, their presentational skills, their interpretive. I will begin the card game because my students struggle with vocab. Awesome. And you don't have to use like a Spanish deck. You can use regular cards. Draw it in games outside. Hopscotch is a lot of fun. Just making sure that they have the vocabulary and phrases to use so when they're outside, they're still in the target language. What's the problem? That's a good one. Yes, you can ask. So for that last activity that we did, Mirna, you can ask so many questions. And you know what I've done too is where students create their slides too. And then I have them in pairs. They work on each other's. They love to do that. Oh, that's a lot of fun because they're in charge of creating their own slides for the this one or that one. Awesome. I really hope that you were able to grab at least one activity that you can start using once your school year begins. Several of the ones that I mentioned today are really, really some of my favorites that I use in my classroom, and I hope your students enjoy them. Before we end today, does anyone have any questions? Because we do have a survey to fill out. Yep, the feedback form.
Yep, I just shared the feedback form in the chat. Melissa, thank you so much for this wonderful workshop. It was absolutely wonderful. I think plenty of us took a lot away from this. Lots of tasks that we can use right away and activities that we can use right away in our classrooms. I can attest, Draw It is so fun. Like the kids really love it. It's great for having them learn to describe things. And one of the things I remember doing in my class was we would compare, right, each other's drawings and see who was, closest to the actual one, and then give them points and everything. So it's a lot of fun. Thank you all so much for attending. Hope you enjoyed it. And please, 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 as always, I will put it again, complete the feedback form, get an entry into our giveaway, and give Melissa some feedback on how she did today. Thank you all.
All right, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
If you have questions, you can stick around, but if not, I will close the Zoom and we'll see you later. One more PD session today at 3 p.m.